The phone line. Well, let's go to the Zoom. We got C. Allen Johnson lined up. And since y'all talking Dare Act and got some young texters texting me through the week saying, hey, we need to hear from C. Allen. Let him break it down. We got it here for you right now. C. Allen Johnson, my good friend, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Doing fine. I thank all my fans out there. Thank you so much.
Please, as briefly and as, how should I say it, break it down for us as you can. What's going on with this deal? A lot of people are missing the forest for the trees with this thing, man.
Well, I just want you, the DARE Act is called the Digital Assets and Register Change Bill of 2020. I want you to imagine, first, let me give you this scenario before I explain to you what it does. That you have a fence around your house and you're having complaints from international people that people are breaking in or doing a lot of things. And you say, you have this gate, this open gate. We have no gate. You know, when we get these blacklisted and everything. So what we did is we passed a law called the DARE Act, where we took down the fence and we installed this gate and chain locked the gate. And then we declared that we are much better off. It's madness. Essentially, you took down your fence and installed a gate around just a gate at your house. You didn't have a gate before, but you had fence. So you took down the fence, installed a gate, and you don't have to worry about nobody coming in. The DARE Act is a gateway for money launderers, drug traffickers, tax evaders, financing, all of the things that we said we wanted to prevent. The DARE Act is a gateway for that, essentially exactly where it is.
Because of loopholes in said act, correct?
No, because of the very thing we're trying to regulate. First of all, the DARE Act said that they were regulating digital assets, right? Well, we are seeing now, we actually was to have a conversation concerning exactly what happened with the SCB, the Securities Commission of the Bahamas. You'll see that we did not, that we failed. We didn't partially fail. We 100% failed. Because the DARE Act was supposed to protect the issuance of digital assets, monitor people doing business in the digital asset space. We're supposed to monitor the activities of those assets that's being developed. Well, if the DARE Act did what it's supposed to do, FTX have been in the Bahamas. Because you can go back and you can go and look for almost 2 years from its inception. They're being investigated by the FBI, the SEC, various different AGs from different states. All of these is in the public domain. In the public domain, almost 2 years, is the fact concerning the manipulation that he was to allege have done, was also in the public domain, where earlier this year he caused had an impact on the first, the big crash that happened when Bitcoin dropped from 70,000 to 16,000.
Right.
They were behind this in short selling. The DARE Act made no mention on controlling data. This is like we said, we will regulate the surface of the iceberg and have nothing to do with the iceberg the part that's underwater. And you can almost use the expression, when it comes to technology, what we have in the Bahamas in leadership is sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. He's a quote me.
Ouch.
Okay? And so what happens now is, and you can see the ignorance and the stupidity. When they needed access to the assets that's supposed to be on FTX servers, who did they go to? They went to FTX and Salamoni or whatever and asked them to transfer those assets. But they left the server, the very server they're now in court demanding access to in the U.S. court. Well, you had to have access to that server to transfer the assets into these wallets that they say they're protecting. They're now being accused of minting money afterwards. That's a huge accusation.
And of course, you have Bahamians trying to say, well, wait a minute, the liquidators are saying they don't trust the Bahamian government. Well, if you got instances like this, 1,500 Bahamians withdrawing 100 million 24 hours before FTX goes bankrupt, wouldn't that raise red flags to anybody who does business and does it legally and properly?
Yes, with the flags are raised on that for me and for any thinking person. They're now arguing that they were in this frenzy, watching the communications, found out that funds was being misallocated and whatever. So now you have the Attorney General in a frenzy. The police have been notified. His attorney has been notified, and the SCB is in a panic trying to find out what's going on. Yet, in the middle of all this information back and forth, they don't see the email where he said he was going to commit a crime, an additional crime of opening the thing for Bahamians to withdraw their monies. I mean, so you saw the email, you're calling and everything else, and did you get all the email and miss this one? This one where he says if you don't say anything,
who is checking emails that day? Alfred says
they didn't have his tablet.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
His tablet is connected to an alternative universe where the emails are on that tablet as opposed to the server. You can imagine where the government emails is only on his tablets rather than on the government server.
But see, Alan, you're the man that deals with the digital space. If I log on to my email account, can I access all my email from wherever I log on to?
There is no email on any tablet. Okay, this is where the sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity comes in, because he actually, I'm sure,
and the bad BS. Don't forget the bad BS, followed by the bad BS.
Right, they actually believe that's how technology works. They see, I'm saying they're not pretending to be stupid on this. They actually are. Okay. Or they think all of us in the Bahamas who use emails is stupid. Either they are really stupid or they think we all are stupid. That's plain and simple on that. And so, but this permeates through the entire government when we start talking about technology. First of all, there is no such thing as cryptocurrency as we perceive it to be. It is in no location here. Cryptocurrency is nowhere, yet everywhere, on all kind of servers across all the various different jurisdictions. The problem is the DARE Act has no infrastructure to deal with this type of thing. First of all, let me tell you something what is absolutely. The DARE Act is a compilation of statements without these things in place. You must have a freedom of information, a robust Freedom of Information Act, a separate Accountability Act that deals with it. We must have a 21st Century Transparency Act. We must have an Anti-Corruption Act. We must have a separate Integrity Act. Now, all of these actually blend into each other. They're separate, but a part of a compendium of bills. We have to have a Whistleblower Protection Act. We need a more robust, secure, and future Regulations Act. We also need data legislation with cross-border treaties to deal with the data legislation. We need legislation that actually deals with the digitization of information and the digitalization of that information. Digitization is making things digital. Digitalization is using the digital assets that you made digital to make sure that you don't have the same type of Alameda and FTX. We need an antitrust legislation. Now all of these things I'm calling, we don't have. We need an anti-competition legislation.
Sound like we need a digital czar to head up all of this.
Absolutely, because remember now, we have no law that deals with fintech, which is financial technology. We have no law to deal with regulations technology, RegTech. We have no law to deal with supervisory technology, which is SupTech. We have no law to deal with insurance tech, which they call InsurTech. And then we have no law to deal with property tech, real estate and otherwise, which is property tech. We need expertise and ability within the place to deal with on-chain data analysis. I mean, it's almost like it's like we're kids. You know, I see my daughters in the room, they're pretending and they say, Daddy, come to the party, come eat. And I go, yum, 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 yum. We just pretend. This is not pretending. This is real life. Because what happens is no country in the world will ever be able to regulate cryptocurrency. Yes, what we attempted to do and other countries attempting to do. They are attempting to regulate the exchanges, the centralized exchanges where cryptocurrency occurs. Because technically cryptocurrency is magic money. They don't exist. So when you look at the fact that FTT, the tokens, like I already said, if you bring me $1,500, I'll mint you $50 billion worth of tokens within 7 days. And I will even help authenticate that it's worth $1 billion because I can buy $10 billion of those from you if you take an IOU from me. Then you can go in some exchange how you just minted your coin and already you sold 10 billion. And then you put $1 million of it for sale. People can run and try to buy it for $100 each. After you sell $1 million of those, you have $100 million of fiat. And they have the magic marbles holding it. If you said some sucker's going to come later to buy it from them, it's going to be way more. Now, if you just manage that $100 million and buy cars, jets, and everything, you're going to look very successful. And your coin is going to, you have what is called FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. But you cannot regulate fake money, make-up money. How do you regulate somebody's imagination?
No, sir. But we're going to pick up the conversation on the flip side of the break. Seattle, we got to get to the news right now, but right after the news, we'll wrap it up. I appreciate you chiming in and bringing some clarity to this, man, because if you listen to the noise in the market, it'll set you crazy. Oh, yeah. I never knew like three little letters of the alphabet, SBF or FTX, could cause so much SHI. Anyway, let's go to the break. We'll pick it up as the Thursday, December 15th edition of Talking Heads continues right after the news. Don't touch it. Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Let's go back to C. Alan Johnson. We're in the 5 o'clock hour, about ready to wrap things up with him. Take a quick break, and then we'll talk sports on the flip side of the break with Earl the Pearl. But C. Alan, just in wrapping up, man, where are we with this DARE Act? We need a lot of work, right? It's not
actually, what we need to do is we need to suspend registration on a forum of the mines in the Bahamas to find out where it is. Let me just congratulate Mr. Michael Pintard, leader of the Majority Official Opposition. He has reached out to myself and others in trying to understand where we are and where we need to go in light of what we have discovered. So myself and others have begun a conversation to get back to him. I congratulated him on that respect. Let me just say something though. I hope your newsroom is listening. If I was to go and steal $600 million from Royal Bank or some other bank in the Bahamas, wire it out of the country, sell it to different banks, and then eventually wire it back into another country, let's say Bank of the Bahamas, is that money still stolen money?
Wow.
Well, that money that was stolen from
you shot. I see me going medicinal.
Is that? But I'm saying to you, the money that is stolen from the hack of FTX is now sitting on an exchange in the Bahamas that we say we regulate.
So
it is.
Now, the money that was hacked is on our exchange. So
it's on another exchange in the Bahamas. It has traveled around the world. It is now back in the Bahamas, sitting on an exchange that is regulated by the government of the Bahamas. And we're doing nothing about it. We hear nothing about it. The media has not covered it or anything of that sort. And so there's a lot of things. This I want people to know, whether we like it or not. This is one of the biggest cock-up that we have ever had. We're going to go down in history unless we come back.
No, Seattle, you got blind, loyal party supporters talking about this is not bad. No, all publicity is good publicity. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Our brand hasn't been damaged. They won't look at us, side eye moving forward. And people speaking against the administration and treasonous because F&M's are leaking secrets for political play. There's the garbage.
Let me Right, but let me explain what happens. Like, for instance, this data access that they just got success in court. It's a dangerous thing for people that is ignorant of data. Because, believe it or not, those individuals, Mr. John Ray and Mr. John Bromley, is going to watch data access on their server. Any information that is shared or an extent, because this is a dynamic database. Dynamic database means as it changes in real time, you have full access. When you have access on a server, you connect to my computer, I can tell you every file you look at, every file you touch, every directory you went in that basically even had nothing to do with you. Now, in the arrogance of their ignorance, they may believe that they have this access and they could do what they want to do and collect access, thinking they, like when you say this is on Alfred Sayers' iPad. This data is going to be tracked. The information on the blockchain, all of these behemoths that's involved with this, I want them to know, unless you go and delete the blockchain, going all the way back to the first Bitcoin thing, your access is there. Let me just say for the NGOs that got money from the government, for all you guys who's talking about the clawback, under the U.S. bankruptcy laws and other laws, we don't even have a law for the full clawback. After 90 days, if you got your money 90 days or more before the bankruptcy, all your NGOs are safe. If you have any money coming, you could write that off. So this thing about the bishop having to pay back, he won't have to pay back. He got his money way more than 90 days before. So, but what happens though is that all of the data, the in and out, and they have. Let me tell you something. There's a female that's cooperating as part of this sealed indictment. Remember now, he has 3 sets of charges. He's been charged by the SEC. He's been charged by the federal government, and he's been charged by the CFTC. And there's some pending charges by some other state in this. All of this was on the record before he opened his office here. The question we should then have asked, we knew he didn't have directors. We knew he didn't have an accountant. We knew we lack. Just by looking at it, this was not secret information. Then why did we even register him? Why did the central bank, and we don't hear about the central bank involvement in this. The central bank is involved with this because they regulate fintech and they regulate these international banking corporations, which is right in the middle of this, including Deltec and some other banking. This is not a simple thing that I hear the talking heads talking about. This is big boys thing, because this what happened here in the Bahamas can affect the financial industry of the countries where this has occurred, where they fight to secure and keep their industry. This is why they have the SEC and the CT and the CFTC and other places. And so when you have an impact, this has an impact on no matter how small you may argue, on the U.S., on other countries. And they're going to remember not the fact that he dragged this dead dog called FTX into this country, and you know how they blow up and it swells up and explodes in the Bahamas? This dog was dead. These crimes, what he did had nothing to do with cryptocurrency or blockchain. This is straight out fraud. Should have been able to be detected by just looking at governance rules that our SCB, our central bank, our people in the prime office, this goes right in the office of the prime minister, who vetted the company before they issued the other license. This is egged on the complete custodial aspect of everybody that was in charge of getting this approved. Absolutely. And this is huge. This is one of the largest straight out fraud, and the fraud was detectable amongst myself and others. People could go back. I could get the Guardian radio when people were celebrating FTX. I said the dare bill, and I said FTX ain't real. We shouldn't be celebrating him. I got right across and say I'm a hater, and I was like, I was in this business before he knew what digital currency was. From 2010, I can create these things out of thin air. Also, I just chose not to commit fraud. I still don't believe this today. We are now moving to say, and I hear some people in the financial service industry here saying, oh, we're going to use for proof of reserves. Okay, good. Naughty makes a coin that's made, and we say Naughty mints some marbles. I make some sea glass coins, and somebody else makes some wooden coins, and somebody else makes some conch shell coins. Nothing back them. So Naughty gets somebody to give him a few $1 billion. I declare my sea glass coins are worth billions of dollars too. So Right? It's made up. So Naughty gets a few $1 billion. Naughty sends me $1 billion or $2 billion. I send him a few $1 billion worth of my arbitrary made up sea glass coins. He and I split the real money, and then when they come and say, Naughty, where's the proof of the reserves you have to show if somebody called? I say, look here, man, right in my wallet I got sea glass. Oh, yeah, that's sea glass worth billions of dollars. But you and I spending the fiat because sea glass can't be sold, can't be spent, nor could your marbles be spent. So how do you have proof of reserve? You can't. It is impossible to bring proof of reserve. Listen to me. The exchanges in the Bahamas, Binance, and all of them is in crisis. This FTX
we need to talk about that.
We need to bring them all down.
We need to talk about that next week, Seattle, because we do have some other crypto companies that are still here.
Oh, no. That's what I'm saying. They're fake. Listen to me. I want you to pay attention to even the crypto big news thing in Exoma, okay? Let me say this now. That isn't dying. That is dead. You remember the Fry site and everything else? Okay. Yes, that ain't dying. That's dying. Wait till the lawsuit is filed next week, then come back and interview me again. It says...
Well, that's what I said. We're going to pick up this conversation next week. Right. We can talk about that next week for sure.
Right. I just been saying this. Thank you for having me. I want people to stop asking me, how did I know? And ask yourself why you did not know.
Ah, that's a good one, boy, there, Seattle. And I like that. And I'm going to crown you the unofficial digital czar of the Bahamas until it's official. All right? But that's what I'm going to refer to you from here on out.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Always a pleasure. Be safe. My best to Freeport and my in-laws and everybody down there.